two of them. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Lawrence County Board of Education September meeting. We have several guests with us tonight. We'd like to recognize Miss Riley Moore's class here with us, observing the board tonight. Welcome, Miss Riley and her class. Miss Moore is a dean at Ingram-Sal Elementary School and teaches a class and has, I don't know how many with her tonight, but she has students here every year around this time. We welcome her. To all our guests here tonight, thank you for coming out and being a part of this meeting, and to our guests who are watching on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. We welcome our new board members, Mrs. Janet Alexander, Mr. Bill Adams, and Dr. Chad Shannon. Thank you for answering the call to serve. After the pledge and a moment of silence, the board each September has to select a new chair and a vice chair. That will take place at the beginning of the meeting, as I said, after the pledge and the moment of silence. The board will select the chair and a vice chair for the 24-25 academic year. The chair can then next September be re-elected, as can the vice chair if they wish to continue to serve. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. But before we begin with our pledge and our moment of silence, we just ask that you take a moment to call to mind those men and women in our school system who serve our students each and every day, from bus drivers to cafeteria workers or SROs, our mechanics, our EAs, maintenance, custodians, and anyone in the school system that helps make a difference in the life of our children. So if you would, just take a moment to call to mind and thank those folks silently. And if you would, please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mrs. Elledge, if you would, please call roll.
Ms. Jacobs? Here. Daniel?
Here.
Dryden?
Here.
Hartsfield?
Here.
Adams?
Here.
Rochelle?
Here.
Alexander? Here. Weathers?
Here.
Shannon?
Here.
9 present.
Okay. At this time, we will open the floor for nominations for chair of the board. And Mr. Rochelle?
Mr. Atkins, I'd like to nominate John Daniel to be our new chairman.
Yes, Mr. Dryden.
May I have the floor?
Yes, sir.
I realize that we have a lot of very important matters to take care of here tonight, one of which is what we're in the process of doing now. And I feel very honored and appreciate greatly some of you folks who've asked me, who've talked to me and expressed or offered your support for me to serve as chair of this body. But I want to remind you people, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be in that chair. You know, having served on the county commission for 20 years, 9 of those years in the chair, I know what it's like to be in the chair, and I know what it's like to be here. And it's very important that we be together, and I'm not saying that. I do know that John has some votes. I do know that I have some votes. But I'd like to see us at our very first meeting begin with 100% support for John. And because of that, I'd like to make a motion that the nomination cease and that we elect Mr. John Daniel by acclamation.
I'll second that.
All right. Anyone else? So we have a nomination, we have a second. Nominations for chair cease. Call roll.
Yes, we will.
All right, please call roll.
Ms. Jacobs? This is to cease all nominations
Yes.
and to elect Mr. Daniel
I
as chair.
thought you said something else. I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
hear you.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 yes.
All right. Congratulations, Mr. Daniel. We'll bring you over and let you conduct the nomination for vice chair.
To my fellow board members, I want to say thank you for this honor, and I will do my best to serve you and the school system in my best capacity. So thank you very much. Now we will open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Jerry Dryden, this is Bill Adams.
Do I have a nomination for Jerry Dryden? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any other nominations? Jessica, would you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Shannon?
Yes.
We'll take that. Is that for you, Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Dryden.
Thanks, sir.
So is that all the offices we need to elect at this time?
TLN representative.
The TLN representative. Take nominations for the TLN representative. And/or volunteers.
I volunteer.
Brenda will volunteer. Is anyone else, anyone opposed? Can we need to do a roll call or just
I think if you want to do a voice vote.
Hey, John, I'll volunteer on that, too.
you want to volunteer on that? Okay, so then let's take a roll call for, or do we need to do nomination?
I'm not sure if you can have more than one representative. I don't know that answer, I'm sorry.
We have to vote.
So I think we should, do you know, Mr. Dodge?
Just let him take it. I'll back off.
That's what I was about to
Yes.
say. I think just one on the board makes that, or serves as that representative.
So Brenda volunteers to step back and Dr. Shannon be the TLN representative. All in favor of Dr. Shannon being the Lawrence County School Board representative for TLN, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dr. Shannon. Thank you for your willingness to step aside, Ms. Jacobs. All right, next item on the list would be student recognitions. So we have, or do we need to, adoption agenda will come next, later. All right, so we'll move forward. The first one up is Lawrenceburg Public School, Ms. Keene.
Want me to face y'all or them? Y'all? Face y'all? Them? Okay. So tonight I have the privilege of recognizing a truly special student. Our student that we're representing, she represents Lawrenceburg Public School family. When I first started talking to some of the teachers and to Ms. Kim Martin about who we should choose, a lot of names came up. We had a lot of candidates. But the name that everyone seemed to mention was Taylor Knowles. And Taylor stands out for her character, her kindness, the positive attitude that she shows on a daily basis. One of her teachers said that she has a heart of servitude and that she is a friend to everyone. She approaches each day with a smile on her face. If you've looked at her tonight, she has a smile, I'm sure. Her smile lights up the halls at LPS. She's very hardworking. She puts in the extra effort to do her best in whatever's asked of her. She is kind and willing to help others, whether it's assisting with our pre-K students, and she's there every morning at 7:15 to welcome those pre-K students, and she encourages anyone that's in need. She's also our go-to if we need someone shown around the building because she knows the building well. Taylor gets along well with others, treats others with respect and understanding. She is truly an asset to our school. She embodies the values that we hold dear at LPS. So I want to say thank you to Taylor for representing LPS and showing what it means to be kind, hardworking, and supportive. We're very fortunate to have you at our school. We look forward to all the great things that you're going to do. And so tonight, I would like to recognize Taylor Knowles.
Next recognition we have will be Dr. Jones for New Prospect Elementary.
Tonight, I'm honored to recognize Miss Evelyn Pearl Blassing-Jim as the New Prospect School Student of the Month. This recognition is a testament to her outstanding character, her dedication, and her positive influence within our school. Miss Lauren Franklin, Evelyn's teacher, stated her thoughts on why Evelyn deserves this honor. She's like a flashlight in a dark room with her positive attitude. She works exceptionally hard at whatever she does, always trying to do her best. She has a heart of gold and is always prepared to help anyone. This statement encapsulates the essence of what makes Evelyn such an exemplary student. Evelyn Pearl Blassing-Jim's remarkable qualities make her truly deserving of the Student of the Month award. Her positive influence and unwavering dedication serves as an inspiration to everyone she's around. Miss Evelyn Pearl.
Congratulations. Okay, now next on the agenda, before we get to the consent items, there are a couple of adjustments we need to make to the adoption of the agenda. We're going to ask to move Officer Dorning up on the agenda, be right after this consent items, so he can be, he's got another meeting he needs to attend. So it would be to move Dorning up, and then also in addition of a homebound fee increase to match the summer school hourly rate. Where will that fall under, Mr. Atkins?
Wherever you like to place it, and it needs to be a budget.
It can be budget. I think that
Okay,
would
so
be
we'll put it
appropriate.
under item number 4, budget items for consideration. And that will be homebound fee increase to match summer school hourly rate. So we'll put that C, homebound. So do I need to get a vote to amend this agenda?
To adopt the agenda as
Can I
presented.
get a motion to adopt the agenda and these changes? We have a motion by Ms. Jacobs. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Weathers. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I guess we'll go ahead and go over, I guess, give the floor to Officer Dornan.
Good afternoon. I may be channeling my inner Barry White for you all today. Safety update for our school year that started, pursuant to our friends in Georgia and the things that's happened there. It's a good time to talk about it. So, for those of you who are new, I want you to understand that we at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department are going to do whatever it takes to facilitate the safety of our kids up front and foremost, and whatever that may be. So I want to talk to you just a few minutes about a couple of things. The current campaign that we've got across the school, LCSS, is the locked and closed doors. Some of you all had as many birthdays as I do. Remember that we always left them open. We had spring air. We opened everything up. You know, sometimes the air conditioner doesn't always work properly, and if you've got an old school, then it's even more difficult sometimes. But teachers are adhering very well to those things. I think the governor said it very plain, and it was just going to be demanded. We're going to keep our doors closed and locked. It's not that we're the door police. It's just that we are we're going to take our safety to the next level in the LCSS community. So one thing that I want to talk about, I visited several schools in August, and Mr. Atkins touched a bit on it when he gave his weekly address, is we need to discuss, and I think I know where we're going with it, the windows in our classrooms. I think we all agree that they need to be covered. A lot of schools doesn't have windows. Some of the newer schools that are only 35 years old have those windows. So it's my appeal to you all to make sure that we get those the windows on those classroom doors covered. And if they're covered with fabric, we have to remind them that, you know, fire marshal has to have a tag on them and whatnot. But it's also important that the reason we're covering that, they all have peepholes. We've done tests with our peepholes, and you have a really wide angle of view to look at. So it's actually a safe process for our kiddos. We have discussed with many teachers, you know, I ask them when I go in, are you prepared today for what could possibly happen? Sometimes you get, absolutely, and sometimes you get, what are you talking about? Lunch is here in a minute, you know. So as SROs, we're constantly looking for that, whatever's going to happen. If I'm in the cafeteria, what's coming through that door? What's coming through this door? How am I going to react? Teachers are also beginning to see those things, whether they choose to lock down and be quiet, or they may choose to fight with everything they've got. So we're talking about those things in the LCSS community also. If we're going to ask our educators to approach people that doesn't have a name badge. So each of you can see, I've got a name badge, and each of you know, because it's new, it's got the green on it, which I really love. On the back, can you tell where I'm from? I mean, I'm what? How far am I? 15 feet? Can you tell where I'm from? No, you can't. So if we're going to ask our teachers to approach people that are in our buildings for the safety of all involved, everybody has to be scanned anyways, right? So I'll talk a little bit about something else in a minute, about some challenges, but what we found is it's pretty easy to tell I'm a visitor from here, right? So I've asked many principals to adopt something of this nature, because if you're a kindergarten teacher and somebody's walking down the hall, you don't know what that is, really. If we're gonna ask you to approach, it's not cool. Some ladies don't really like to enjoy that. So if we could pick something like this up across the LCSS community, I think it would be a really good issue for us to make it easier for the teachers to make that choice. At Lawrence County High School, it is difficult from one side of the cafeteria to the other to see those name badges that are visitors, or if they're guidance, or if they have a specialized location they're going to. Unless you approach, it's difficult. So if we could choose to do something like this across the board, it would make it easier for our educators to do the things we ask them to do. Any questions thus far? I mentioned a minute ago about challenges. That's what I'm calling it. Last year, I haven't done it yet this year. Last year, we found someone that no one knew to breach a school. The principal would be involved, the SRO would be involved, I'd be involved. It'd be someone that doesn't know anyone. First off, they're gonna try to get in your school. If all the doors are locked like they're supposed to, no big deal. I'm gonna give you my badge. I want to see what they're gonna do when you get inside. The teachers don't like it. You know, it's mud in their face, I think. But what it does is it strengthens the bond that you have, knowing what somebody's going to do when you face that challenge. So if we have these on, we're going to know easily. I had one school, cafeteria lady tried to leave. He didn't have a badge on. We found some loopholes, but we're all learning from it, and it makes us better for it. And I think everybody involved agrees. And we're going to continue to do that. It's hard to find someone that no one knows, to be honest. And you've seen the adage where if you walk into a building with a clipboard and you're walking with a purpose, nobody asks you a question, right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what we did. Dress normal, nothing out of the blue. We had some schools that done really good. So we're going to continue to do those challenges. If you're interested in doing one, hey, I'll be glad to have you. Any questions about the challenges? We're full staff, SROs. We have an SRO in every building. I'm glad to see there's 2 in my school, Orange County High School. And he will tell you that he never thought life would be so busy. However, I do have one that is a core military man. He very well could get deployed in the next few months. He's done some specialized training this summer that would indicate maybe he would have to go back. So I've got something in my back pocket for that too, so we'll cross that bridge when it happens.
Lieutenant Dornan, can I interrupt you there?
Absolutely, sir.
So on that full staffing, there's 2 at Lawrence County High School, which we had requested some time ago. What situation are we in when life happens to one of our SROs, sick kids, sick wife, whatever be the case, and they have to leave that school?
It does happen. We have the same policy pretty much that your teachers have. You know, we're encouraged. My rule is if the door's open, I expect you to be there. However, life does happen, so the extra one at my school will go in either as much as they can or all day, whatever we can do.
And then you and I had talked personally, and the director as well, the home visits. You know, I've been a big proponent of, if we're serious in this state about protecting our students and serious enough that the lawmakers have passed the law to put guns in the hands of educators, then we ought to be serious enough to commit that a law enforcement officer is in our school every time the doors are open, regardless. No excuse for a law enforcement officer not to be present. So what can we do to get us closer to that? Because as much effort as we put in, there are still occasions to where our schools are without a SRO officer. Is that true?
I'll have two sick at one time. You know, I'll have those things. The home visits should be null and void. We're not participating in home visits. If it's a must-do, I've asked the director to pass along that we can either do them before school or after school. And that will nip that problem in the bud. We're absolutely good with that.
Is there any opportunity to open up maybe some overtime for some off-duty? If you find yourself, or if we find ourselves with an SRO officer, two sick, two out, is there any opportunity to give some overtime to an off-duty, just to make sure that none of our schools are ever without an SRO?
You know, I think there's probably some opportunity, but the last I checked, I think we're down 6 officers. So we're struggling as well. Much like some of your schools, it's difficult in these times. However, if something like that happens, the shifts are notified and they know to hang out and do their paperwork in the parking lot, whatever they need to do. They've all agreed to do that.
Yeah, if we can utilize Lawrenceburg City.
City folks got it made. Those officers are around all the time, but you know, it's a pretty good haul in summertime.
Mr. Atkins, can you work with a local and see whatever we might could work out just to make sure that all of our schools have law enforcement? Now, I know if an SRO officer has specific training, so if both of them sick, but if we need somebody to fill in, I know they're not going to walk the halls, or we may not want them to walk the halls such as you and your team does, but at least have a presence on the campus. So,
Absolutely. We'll
thank
look into
you.
it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Another suggestion on that badge, Mr. Atkins, because we have so much, especially from year to year, so much swapping and around, people moving throughout the system, I would like to see what he's recommending in having a standardized badge that, now you may can do different school colors, but it needs, in my opinion, it needs to be a standard badge. Now, you know, like his, but so, is that was for Lawrence County High School, right?
It is,
Part
yes,
one
sir.
go. So it would look just like that, but in the school colors, but that way, regardless of where you're at this year or next year, you see that badge, you recognize what it is. That makes sense.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, and you may be going to go back to it.
All
On
right.
covering our windows, are you talking about the film that they're putting in Nashville on their doors and windows?
Well, what we decided is the film is pretty expensive, and it didn't operate to the standard that we thought it should. Yeah, am I right, Mr. Atkins? That's what we decided. What I think the best thing is, if we're not afforded bulletproof glass in every window in every school, is either some good mirror tint or something covering it, so that those folks, those kids can get in that hard corner out of sight. All right, so those are the things that are important. I know a lot of folks practice those things. I know a lot of folks that every time I go into a school, I'll ask them, where's your hard corner? Some of them are very difficult. Some of them have doors on both sides that make it impossible to have a hard corner. There's some at LPS, there's some at my school. But what we did was we put some really dark mirror tint on those things, and you can't see through them. So it's sort of a fix, but it's not the greatest thing in the world. Does that make sense? I read a study one time. I think Mr. Atkins turned me on to it, but people that were angry, ill will, that was about to do something silly or stupid, when they present themselves in front of that mirror tint and they see themselves, they change their attitude. When you get up to mirror tint, you don't know what's behind it. If you're going to breach a door, you're going to do something silly. You don't know what tank's on the other side of the door, right? So it changes our folks' attitudes, and I've seen that happen at my school. So I am for utilizing some folks that does mirror tint, and they can make it look good.
Ms. Jacobs, I believe Mr. Dryden, myself, and Mr. Atkins sat through a seminar over the summer. The big thing, correct me if I'm wrong, Lieutenant Dorning, but covering the classroom door. And I believe in the history shows, or the data shows, in these shooting events, that if the door is locked and those windows are covered, the perpetrator just keeps walking. So we're wanting to get, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your main goal is to get those classroom inside doors. Now, I agree, the outside mirror tint on all of our outside windows would be great, but the main thing is that inside door tint. Is that?
There's much discussion about it, and I think everybody's on the same sheet of music pursuant to the weekly address. I will be visiting other schools soon to kind of look and see and offer suggestions soon.
How far away were we from accomplishing that?
I was in 6 or 7 schools today, and have been in the schools, and I walk the halls, and I think every door that has a glass pane has some sort of covering over it now. I'd be hard pressed to name one that doesn't.
But how important do you feel that it would be to get the windows when possible?
The outside windows.
windows.
The fire door, fire escapes. Is that what you're speaking of?
At least in that tent that you're saying.
At least in the tent.
That mirror.
I like it.
Because, you know, they're trying to find some place to go in and who's in it.
Mr. Dorning, is there any
That's all
talk?
the full panel glass doors that we've got, correct?
Yes.
That includes all of them too?
Mr. Dorning, is there any talk about exterior security around the property? Something that looks nice,
That's a
not
good question.
like a prison, you know?
I meet with the safety team, Mr. Tucker and a few, and they're avidly looking for grants that facilitate safety for rural schools that don't have, you know, a lot of money in the yards out here. But so they have made headway with some fencing, and it's very noticeable. LPS has got a pretty good situation. I noticed out there the other day, Mark and I were talking. You know, they have a wooded area adjacent to where their kiddos play. And if anybody wanted to be stupid, it'd be real easy to be stupid right there. I think the committee meets regular, and we all have ideas, and we have made a lot of things come to life through those meetings. So I'm proud to say that we're doing that. It'd be really cool if we had a whole lot more money to do a whole lot more things, but we all know it's about the benchmark, right? Any others? I want to take a quick second and talk to you about something to consider. I have talked to several principals, Mr. Atkins. I think we're probably on the cusp of, you know, our sporting events maybe not allowing big bags and backpacks and, you know, all those things that we don't really deal with right now. I would love to see Washington County High School football is grand. I went when I was a kid, but I never went without my parent. There's a multitude of kids that are dropped off and they're babysat for 3 hours. And it makes it very difficult for other people. So I'd love to see something like, you know, a certain age where kiddos can't get in without a paying attending adult. Stop that. At least you get their extra money, right? No backpacks, trench coats, and things of that nature. We're looking for those things. We have SRO on the gates. We're looking for those things, but we're not far from really saying, hey, we need to think about these things. I think one thing we're doing now is, previously at halftime of a football game, the gates would close, people would leave. Like left that fenced in area wide open for anybody to walk in. So I know for sure Lawrence County High School's doing it to man somebody at that gate. That would be at least some type of barrier to keep those evil things out, right? So I'll tell you one last thing quick. The biggest thorn in the 3 high school sides are vapes. You guys may see or hear the volume that comes through. I'm glad to say that I think they're down about 35% from last year thus far. We keep data, and I think it's because that we were petitioning on the first try. That come from Ashley Duncan's office. It come from the LCSS office. It came from the principals. We're now, new cell phone policy makes it better. You don't go in the bathroom and call somebody and tell them to come there, you need to hit on the brake or whatever. We have people monitoring the restrooms between classes. So hours are down LCSS wide this past year about 35%. So I'm excited to say that.
Yeah, it's a positive.
Anybody have any questions?
Lieutenant Dornan, I just want to commend you for your tactical mindset and some of the things you brought up. Being a former Marine, I was actually the OPSO when the Marines got killed at Chattanooga, so I was their boss. And to hear some of the things you're bringing up, it's concerning for sure. But I do commend you for your tactical mindset and remaining readiness. The window thing, I think, would be a huge thing if we can explore that. I think y'all have already brought that up. It's tough because we're trying to create a culture of learning all while you're asking a teacher their tactical readiness, and that's tough because they're not trained that way, and I'm glad that we have you, so thank you for the presentation.
Thanks, sir. Once again, we're going to do whatever it takes. Just understand that. Any other questions?
Just a statement to Mr. Atkins, can we get, can you put some people on, let's see what we might be looking at to do the film, the two-way mirror tinting across the system? And we may need to phase that, whatever that may be. Just give us some budgetary numbers of what that may look like to the system. Thank you, Lieutenant Dorning. Appreciate, just like he
Thank
said.
you all for what you do.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
All right, so we'll go back to the rest of the consent items. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. We're talking about B all the way through F.
Yes.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All consent items are passed. Next item, report items, school reports. So Lawrenceburg Public School, Ms. Keene, for the report for Lawrenceburg School.
Thank you. Lawrenceburg Public School, we have 475 students at this time from pre-K to 5th grade, 65 faculty and staff members. Real excited about this upcoming year. We did lose 4 of our 10 core tutoring assistants because of the money going away with that, but we've hired 2 certified teachers to be interventionists, and that's working out great. They happen to both be former kindergarten teachers, but they're working with those 5th grade students just as much as all the students. They're enjoying it. They're a lot of fun. The teacher of the year this past year was Miss Heather Hammond. We have had several sports. We have cross country that is competing, just starting their 4th year. Lots of students that participate in that, and many of them have set new personal goals. It's nice to see the kids get excited about cross country. Basketball, we've switched to the September, so we're about to start. They've started practicing. September the 16th, the week of the 16th and the week of the 30th, we will have basketball for grades 2nd through 5th. And some of them will be played at Lawrenceburg Public, some at New Prospect, David Crockett, and then Etheridge. We also plan on spring soccer, and that's been great to see kids get excited about indoor soccer. We play in the gym, and they love it. It's been fun. Our junior beta, our elementary beta, has really grown. We've gotten lots of awards, and y'all had us over and got to see some of those awards. But we're excited about our upcoming competition this fall. Lego League is something else that we have, robotics, and that's been good. We have a lot of students participating in that. Last year we had 4 teams, and several teams got to go to, all the teams got to go to the state, county, and 2 teams got to go to the state. We're planning our Arts Festival again this year. We have it scheduled for May the 9th. The last couple of years, It kind of started when we brought it back from COVID. We didn't have all parents on campus. We had invited them the night before to do a walkthrough and see all the art. And then the day of the Arts Festival, it's just students, and that's been great. It's worked out real well. Some improvements we've done the last school year. We've now have all of our playground equipment in the ground, and kids are playing on it. Our UDO was the last one installed, and they're loving it. We've just purchased shades for the playground, and they started putting those in the ground today. So that's going up. We have planned for the sidewalk that's beginning to fade and look bad. The front entrance should be painted by the end of fall break. And fence is starting to go up on the back to keep people off of, keep the students from getting onto Alex Drive. The poles are there, the fence is not, but it's getting there. And we've had some work done on the outdoor classroom, just some cleanup. Some things we're still looking at is some tile, and the breezeway is always a problem. And then upgrades on the gym is some things that we would like to see happen, bathrooms and stuff. But we're off to a great start, and we're really excited about the school year. Any questions?
I believe, Ms. King, we've talked about that enclosure of the breezeway, and I just think the fire marshal shuts us down with that talk every time. So unless the laws change with breezeways, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't see that getting enclosed.
Right, and I know there's been.
I wished it was, but.
Some ideas of other things we could do, but
Yeah.
there is a chain link fence that keeps them from getting to the bus or whatever, but it's still a concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, school.
That's what I would say to the board. We would typically have data presentation in these principal updates, but because of the pushback with the state and the delay, they're not going to be able to share information with you. Our hope by not having one in August and having one in September is that we would have the data. We may not have the data at next month's presentations, maybe November. So just know that our plan is to have data updates as well in these presentations.
Thank you. Dr. Jones?
NPS serves a student population of 416 from pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. This demographic provides a rich environment for educational growth and development. Our faculty consists of 31 dedicated teachers who are supported by 4 retired teacher tutors and 10 support staff. We also have 5 grannies who work with our students daily learning how to read. This combination of experienced educators and staff enhances the learning experience for our students, providing both current teaching methods and valuable insights from seasoned professionals. We provide a lot of opportunities at NPS for students to become productive citizens and to excel both academically and socially as they gain leadership skills to become more successful. One of our notable strengths is our tutoring and intervention programs, which offers targeted supports for students in need. During the 23-24 school year, we were very fortunate to receive funds from the federal government that allowed us to be able to provide extra student supports to help fill those educational gaps. During the 23-24 school year, we serviced 87 students targeting deficiencies in reading and math. In 24-25, we've increased our tutoring to support 98 students in reading and 59 students in math. We are very fortunate to have our retired teachers 2 days a week for 2.5 hours per day, focusing on front-loading lessons to assist in pushing our students to mastery. Additionally, our school promotes leadership opportunities for its students, fostering professional growth and responsibility. We build students as future leaders. In addition to athletic opportunities, we have a beta club, student council, Skills USA, STEM, and Explore to Soar programs. Our leadership clubs participate in both the national and state level. They've been very successful. Despite these strengths, we still face challenges such as a need to improve our chronic absenteeism rates among students to ensure consistent attendance and engagement. Finally, we also look forward to the release of TCAP testing data for the 23-24 year. We look forward to sharing our results once they are not embargoed. We've gotten off to a great start this year and look forward to what this year has to offer.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Any questions for Dr. Jones? So I'm curious, because I've seen only because I know it's needed to improve across the system, but you mentioned chronic absenteeism is an area of need of improvement. Do you have, what's your ideas and plans? What is our ideas and plans? We're trying to correct this across at your school and across the system, Mr. Atkins.
Well, at our school, after 3 absences, our teachers make that first individual call, whether it's a sickness, whether it's I've gone on vacation, and we tend to see that some too, where vacation times don't line up, and just really trying to educate our parents, if a teacher's sick and they're out, and then the student's also sick, that's double the amount of time that's the student's out of class. So we just really try to inform our parents and make them aware of, what's going on.
Is that something you're trying new this year, or just trying to do better this year?
We're trying to do better.
Better at it?
Better, yes, sir.
I'll be curious to see how that, what kind of effect that has. Hopefully a positive one.
Could I say something?
Yes, sir.
The new pavement and the guttering out at New Prospect School really look great.
We're so thankful to have that. So thankful.
I don't know if y'all seen it, but
It does. I drive by there every day and it looks very good. Any other questions for Dr. Jones? Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda will be the personnel report. I believe you'll have that in your packet. Any questions for Mr. Atkins on the personnel report? Are we still holding true with enough bus drivers to your knowledge in transportation?
We can always use more. We're always happy
But
to.
all routes are covered?
All routes are covered, but we do face some challenges from time to time. But as for the first 4 weeks of school, Mr. Rogers has been able to cover those routes. We've had some illness that has created some problems, but overall, we can always use more bus drivers.
I have a question. Have we found certified teachers to fill all these spots? How are we manning these positions?
You own right here? Oh, yeah. I don't know of any principal who's reported to me that they haven't filled any spots.
Okay.
We've been very fortunate in Lawrence County not to have that problem, but we've also put in some measures, Mrs. Thompson, through Grow Your Own and I Teach and some other things. But right now, we haven't had any that I'm aware of.
We need some of these students that are out in the audience observing the board meeting to finish up their school and get teacher certified. Next item, director's update, Mr. Atkins.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ingram Sile Playground project is completed. There will be a dedication on September the 17th. I will get the time in the weekly update for you, but that is a great project. It looks really nice. Kiwanis Club of Lawrenceburg helped make that possible, and it really looks nice over there, but I will get you the date or the time. That is September 17th, but I'll get you the time. Student enrollment is holding steady about where it was. We fluctuate a little bit. When you take pre-K through 12 in our PVA, we're 6,940 students. Now, since I got that number, it may have increased 1 or 2, it may drop 3 or 4, but it's holding steady, about the same as it has been the last several years. As Officer Dorning mentioned, school safety remains a top priority. I will be meeting with the SROs next week, maybe a Tuesday or so. With them, I meet with them annually just to what do they need, what are improvements we need to make. I meet with them when I go into the schools, see how things are going, but our teachers have done a great job. I've been in schools every week since school started. Doors are closed, doors are locked. People are checking, they're doing what we ask them to do. They have their head on a swivel. They're making sure that if something stands out and they notice that they're taking the proper steps to ensure that safety of that school and those students and their colleagues. So very, very pleased with that. We always have work to do with school safety because there's never an opportunity to let your guard down and think you have it figured out. So we continue to improve on that. Embargo test scores, data, Mrs. Ridgway will present that to the board. We will get that to you in advance in a weekly update. It could be November. We don't know. But when we get that information, we will have that for you. Along with that will be the presentation of our strategic goals, our planning, our long-term plan, we'll have that information as well. We can't really put that together until we have all the data. We can't talk about the strategic goals because it involves data that we can't talk about the data. So we'll get that information out to you. I have several things I'd like to talk to you about, but I'm going to leave that again for Mrs. Ridgway and Mrs. Thomason to talk about academics and CTE. I will say this, Mr. Chairman, we are blessed in Lawrence County to have the people that we have working with our kids each and every day. From you go to the bus garage, you go to maintenance and cafeterias, wherever you go in Lawrence County, great people doing great things, and we're very blessed in Lawrence County. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Mr. Atkins on the system? Mr. Atkins, I will ask, as you meet with the SROs, and I meant to ask Lieutenant Dorning when he was here, but in the past they had brought up to our attention the PA system, or especially at Lawrence County High School, such a large campus, and having communications. Is that still an issue? Have we got that resolved?
It's been resolved at how many schools? All three high schools, and we have some of it at Loretta in the gym area from that construction of that building. There's some external PAs there, but we're still working on that.
So if there's football practice going on at a practice field and something's taking place, they're able to hear and get to safety.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next line item, LCEA. Do we have a LCEA ready? There she is.
Yes, we met with the board's team about insurance, and what we wanted to present tonight is we just wanted to ask that the money that had been allotted for insurance, all of it wasn't used, and we're asking that that be put on the insurance. I believe it was, Jessica may have to correct me on the number, but I think it was like $50,000.
It was approximately $160,000.
Okay, so.
Which
Okay. Thank you. TLN update.
Only thing I would have tonight is they're really taking cell phones out of schools completely. That's the only major thing that's going on right now.
On the Hill. Of course, we've just adopted a new cell phone policy for the system this year.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mr. Chairman, from that legislation that Mrs. Jacobs is referring to, I believe what the state is wanting to do is what Lawrence County is already doing. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. They may make it a little tighter in some areas, but the legislation, and speaking to representatives who are supporting that or on the fence, not sure which way to go, what they're proposing is exactly what we're already doing.
How is that policy, how's it going now that
I haven't had anything that's come across my desk. The principals typically handle that. If someone is not happy with them enforcing the cell phone policy when there's a violation, it may make its way down to Mrs. Cope or make it to Mr. Tucker, then to me. I haven't had anything make it to me because the rules are very simple, easy to follow.
Good deal. Thank you. Any other questions in that regard before we move on? Items for consideration, discussion, and action. Executive committee items for consideration. So we need an approval.
You want me to speak this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, these are items that would be funded through ESSER 3.0. The end of the month, all ESSER dollars have to be spent. They cannot be allocated. They have to be spent, or we have to return those. As I've said before, Mrs. Elledge and Mrs. Ridgway have done an outstanding job. They have a budgeted process. They know what they want to spend. So you may still see some executive committees come through before our October meeting. But now that we have a chair, we can expedite that pretty quickly and get those dollars spent.
Now, will this deplete, Jessica, our ESSER?
No, we will be coming to you guys before the end of the month
for some more.
with some additional requests.
But we need to go ahead and approve these tonight. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Jacobs. Can I get a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. Hartsfield. Do we need to call roll or voice vote? Yeah, money.
Yeah, we'll call roll.
Call roll.
Yes, sir. Jacobs?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 ayes.
Okay, next line item, budget items for consideration. LHS exterior painting. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, as projects surface, Mr. Tucker, myself, Mr. Brown, even the principals, when there are things that stand out that need some attention, we try to address those or at least get them on the work order list for future projects, future planning. Always share that information with the board. Loretta High School has several areas of their main campus, their main building that's the white brick. We're looking at uniforming all that and giving it one color, give that school a little bit better curb appeal from the street. As Mr. Hartsfield and Chairman Daniel mentioned, you drive by New Prospect, you can see from the road and you see a school that looks really nice, and we want to make sure that all of our schools, as needed, get that kind of attention. Loretta is our first stop in this effort to give our buildings a little more, a facelift, better curb appeal that helps draw industry into Lawrence County. When those folks come into our county and they look at our schools, that's a selling point. We owe it to our community and to workforce to make sure that we're selling Lawrence County by our schools, not only our data, but in its presence.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
I got a question. Is that money coming out of budgeted money, or is this in the 12 million that's coming? Where is that money?
We'd already budgeted this money
Okay.
through some excess sales tax
Okay.
dollars in there.
I have a question. Okay, I noticed on here that 2 of these don't have general contractor's license. Do we have to have somebody that has a general contractor's license? Okay, I just want to be sure.
Yeah, if it's over, I
For any
believe,
project that's over
25,000, I
Okay.
think by law, not Lawrence County School Board, but by law, they've got to have over a contractor's license. I have a question. So you'd made a statement, Mr. Atkins, just want to make sure that I heard that. This will be an initiative that we're going to look to have cosmetic, good-looking schools across the system. This is our first stop, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will be looking at other campuses that may need the same paint job.
That, or they may need a little different approach to beautify the campus. But yeah, the idea is to make sure our schools represent the values of Lawrence County when people drive by.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions before we call roll? Call roll, Ms. Jessica, please.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 ayes.
Motion carries. Next item, B, 2025 health insurance premiums.
Mr. Chairman, each year around this time, we receive information from the state of what premiums will look like come January 1 of the following year. We've received that information. Our premiums in a calendar year will increase, I think, $420,000 from January 1 until December 31st of 2025. And we have continuously seen an increase. I have shared with the new board members in our orientation meeting yesterday. When I became director, I think insurance premiums in Lawrence County was $8.1 or $8.2 million. 4.5 years later, we're right around $9 million. It is a part of life. It's happening. Thankfully, this board has been able to increase salaries to offset that. I don't know that will always be the case, but it has been a goal of this board to do that. I would prefer to continue to honor the memorandum of understanding with the LCA and fund the insurance premiums as we have, and then use dollars to improve salaries, hourly rates, and for our employees.
Yes,
Mrs.
Dryden.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we approve item B.
Have a motion to approve.
I can, if they have any questions.
Yeah, can you explain, well, do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Rochelle. Can you explain, I'll show my ignorance here, the two columns you've got, that we're looking at the Blue Cross, or the Network S versus the Network P?
So the Network S is a smaller network that there's there's 4 different options as far as providers within. It's either Blue Cross Blue Shield or Cigna. But within Blue Cross Blue Shield, there's 2 different networks of providers. That Network S is a smaller network that's primarily, don't hold me to it, but primarily Middle Tennessee. But Network P is a larger network that gets you more out amongst the entire state of Tennessee. So if you have a specialty doctor in Knoxville, for example, it might be that they might be on that Network P,
But not on
but
S.
not on S.
And the employee has to make that decision going in that I want Network S
Yes.
or Network P.
Yes, because it's a larger network, the Network P does come at a premium price.
Okay, now, and is this monthly or is this every pay period?
This is monthly, so you
Monthly.
would take this and divide by 2 for an employee to see what would be coming out of their check each time.
Okay.
Is this a matching program somehow with the county? Does the county pay so much in for each employee?
So the $9 million that Mr. Atkins was referring to, that is the amount that, as a system, that we pay toward employees' premiums. These amounts here is what would come out of the employee's pocket.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the employees aware, I was like you, I didn't know what the S and P, are the employees aware of the difference that, say they have diabetes and they need to go out of our area? Are they aware that they may not pay as good on one as the other one?
Yeah, these networks are always provided to the employees from the state of Tennessee Benefits Administration, especially during open enrollment. They push a lot of that information out. We also try to push it out to make sure that everyone is aware.
Yes, because it could be a great catastrophe if they don't.
Yes.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. Please call roll.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 ayes.
Motion carries. Next one is the homebound. This is where we put that from the beginning. So homebound fee to increase to match the summer school hourly rate. Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Chairman, we are in need of homebound teachers in Lawrence County. We do have students who experience some significant health issues, setbacks, other needs that arise, and we've had homebound teachers, but it's becoming more of a challenge. We currently pay $30 an hour for a homebound for a minimum of 6 hours a week. We would be asking the board to increase that from $30 to $40 an hour. And I said 6 hours a week. The minimum is 3 hours a week, but it could be a little bit more based on the needs of the student. So,
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Please call roll.
I've got a question. Can I
Yes,
ask
sir.
a question right there? On these teachers that are traveling to homes, do we pay mileage?
yes, sir.
Okay. All right, great.
Any other questions? I will ask on these what's the process of safety for our teachers? I mean, is the homes being evaluated? Do we know our employees are going to go into a safe environment? Yeah.
Ms. Cope?
So we try to make sure that, we know the parent and they're going into a safe environment. We also, with the use of our technology, do a lot of Zoom calls. So that also helps. We've got some students that do come into the building, and then usually there's 2 teachers there. Usually there's more than one homebound teacher there. So, there's several, so they aren't alone with the student. But going to the home, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of it left,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, good. So long as we're protecting our employees and making sure that we're keeping them safe. So, any other questions? Ms. Ellis, please call roll.
Ms. Jacobs?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Alexander? Weathers?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
9 ayes.
Motion carries. Item number 5, policy items for consideration. These policies were in the packet. Hopefully, we all have had time to review. Are there any questions pertaining to any of these policies? I'll entertain a motion to approve policies.
Motion to approve policy 1, 2, and 3.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All policies have been approved and adopted. Last item, number 6, other items for consideration. The approval of the annual agenda. I guess this is the board meeting schedule. Give you just a moment to look over. Should have been in your packet for review. Any questions or concerns with these meeting dates and/or times?
Mr. Chairman, we discussed, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We talked about moving these to 5 PM to allow more participation. Would that be something we'd consider to discuss tonight?
We could consider that. Mr. Weathers?
Same thing.
Same thing?
Yeah. Good deal.
Any board member have an issue with a 5 PM?
I will make a motion that we amend it or move the time, beginning time to 5.
A
I'll
motion.
second that.
Motion and a second to amend this and adopt the amended the dates and the time of 5 PM. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yeah, Mr. Ackett just brought to our attention, December and July historically have been months that the board has not met. So if we wanted to add those are optional. We can add those if we want to meet. So be thinking about that, I guess. So long as we make that decision in enough time to get it out to the public, we can make that decision the month prior. So we can make a decision about December and November or July and June. So just to know that that is an option. Last item on the agenda is the next board meeting, October 17th, 2024 at 5 PM. Any other items that we want to discuss before we dismiss?
Mr. Chairman, just real quickly, I had a parent that brought a safety concern to me via email regarding track and field team not having safety equipment when practicing. Since it's been brought to my attention, I wanted to ask the director to look into it and report to the board a recommendation on keeping our athletes safe when it comes to track and field.
Or Mr. Atkins, can you take that action and report back to the board on what you find?
So weekly update, okay, Dr. Shannon?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of work already done on it, so I just want to, see what we can move on that,
So we'll look for updating that in your weekly communication to us. Thank you, Dr. Shannon. Anything else before we dismiss? If not, meeting adjourned. We'll see you next month. Thank you very much.